hero.
Have you any hobbies?
My hobbies are fast cars and fast women.
Hobbies are healthy. They teach you things. Are you ready? Are you ready?
How's it going, everybody? Zach here, and with the crew, as always. It's time. You knew we were going to have this. You knew we were waiting for this moment. Many of us were. The news you all expected. What was going to happen with these teams? What was going to be decided with moving around teams? And finally, the day is the day. And I just want to kick it right over to James on this once I go around the horn. But, you know, we got plenty to discuss. I have plenty with my own colleagues to discuss, I guess. It's a day. But anyway, I'm going to go around the horn on my screen. Welcome in. This is ATU, as always. Glad to have you with us. At the bottom here, James Larson, the man, the myth, the legend himself, joining in. How is your day going? I imagine you're getting a lot of things at you at once, as always, knowing how you get the info. So
it has been a day, to say the least. A good day. I mean, depending on how you look at it. When it comes to getting news out, I mean, I was up till about 3:30 in the morning working on articles because I got a bunch of scoops on signings last night. So I'm actually got an energy drink for the second time this whole year.
Wow.
Second time I've had to drink an energy drink. So, but yeah, I mean, I was not expecting this news to drop today. Everybody said it was going to happen next week, but it kind of felt like the UFL was like, all right, let's do a little Friday release. It'll get less traction than earlier in the week and get the bad news out of the way. But
So I actually am just going to follow up and ask, is this the October 8th piece that Mike was referring to in his tweets?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, except, I mean, we're going to get more next week on, like, where the actual locations are of the relocated market, so.
We'll follow up on that, but might as well, while the iron's hot, ask that question. Right next to him, it is Ducky, of course, the community legend, as always. Sir, I hope you're doing well. It's been too long saying hi to you. How are things for you, my friend?
I'm good. Obviously, I'm disappointed as an Ohio fan that we don't get to beat that team up north, but
It's right.
I mean, it's been a long time
to beat
since
you guys over in Columbus too. It's too bad, you know.
Yep.
Plant another flag.
Protecting you, I understand. We're trying to keep you safe. And Mike has your best interest at heart, apparently. It's okay. Anyway, Jake, look, I get it. We were really close to getting the trophy. They got scared. They let us go. It's no big deal, I guess. To them. To us, we can't even go after our own and defend our own title. How you doing, man? I see you already. I'm just repping one more time because it's been too long. I see you obviously repping, hail to the people that hail to the victors as it is anyway.
Yeah, the team that will exist according to the NCAA, much to the chagrin of Spartans and Buckeyes alike. They'll exist next year. Playoffs, of course. So yeah, I gotta rep the team that's actually again. That and actually I don't have any clean Panthers gear, so I think it kind of is fitting for today to don't have anything to wear.
No point in doing laundry.
As the swan song, I mean, we've known this is coming for 2 months, as James has been blamed for repeatedly and blacklisted several times over. So we've
Definitely
been
my fault. The Panthers are gone for sure.
yes.
Oh.
So we've just been sitting and waiting for the hammer to actually fall in. Today's that day, and I'm glad it didn't have to wait any longer. But still, it stings a little bit when you actually have the final say, the final info.
It does, and it was either way. You were bracing for impact, maybe, and there was that little glimpse of hope, of course, petitions and whatnot. But as we're seeing, and we'll get into this a little more, venues seem to rule the day, is what the message came across, and it was reinforced, it looks like, with some of the choices and some shocking picks, I think, to some people, but I think we can talk through that. Nick, good to see you, sir. It's been too long. How are things with you in the world of college football? And I mean, look, you got the trophy, you got rid of your opponent in the championship. Look, you're doing great. You got a double whammy this year. You double KO'd us.
Yeah. I mean, who would have guessed that, Michigan beats Birmingham and it kills them, it's fitting. You finally get one up and it's time to go. But yeah, no, I mean, like, in general, this is a situation that spring football fans have been in countless times at this point, where it's like, hey, yeah, we're a lot of people are losing their teams. We lost 8 teams 2 years ago at this point. We've lost teams pretty consistently throughout that, beyond just that merger. So unfortunately, this is ground that we're familiar with. So talk through it, see where we're going. But it's just something that keeps happening, unfortunately, because spring football is just not in a stable position right now.
Yeah, that is the truth, and that's if anyone's been following this space long enough, so many of us much longer than this. You're probably I think numb to it, or maybe you just are used to getting hurt again and again and again. Here we are, though. But this is what we're here
Nick's
for.
the only guy here that stayed in the clear up until this point. I mean, outside of DC, obviously going away COVID-19, but they came back. Like,
oh yeah,
I've never lost my team.
Oh, you never have.
what is
Teams
this,
have lost you, though.
Lost now, Ducky?
No, yeah. I mean, like, I will say that, like, the XFL shutting its doors probably feels very similar to how Michigan fans feel now, because it was done. When it happened, it was like there was no, like, well, maybe one day it'll come back. Like, we had no idea this would be the turn of events. So I've felt my team, losing my spring football team twice now with the AAF and XFL. But yeah, so I have felt it before, but it, doesn't make it any better. I feel like every fan's experienced this at least once, if not multiple times.
Yeah, this is my third. You had the Legends in the AAF. You had DC in 2020. At least I have a piece of memorabilia for that. And then now this. I have plenty of footballs that just people are gonna be like, who the fuck is that? But
Where's Ducky with the bleep?
You already.
Yeah, I was
really
thinking
good.
about my teams that I lost. I'm like, I don't think I've ever rooted for the same team twice. It was Legends,
This has been well.
Seattle Sea Dragons, or whatever the hell they were, and then New Orleans Breakers.
Shout out Kyle
Maulers.
Sloter.
Yeah,
And then
there.
DC, I guess, but Matty Fresh, thanks a lot. We're cool now, but thanks for
I
that.
guess we're throwing that around the horn. I would say XFL was weird because I was a Battlehawks fan then. The Panthers losing that, okay. Actually, when the AFL went down in 19, that was the one that I remember hitting me hard because I was really big into the Destroyers at the time. They were a new team. They were a brand new revised team on the block. It was good season. Just bitter stuff in the background. Debt to a former fire department insurance company led them getting the axe essentially in that regard. So, but otherwise the Memphis Express, that one hit me hard too when it came to that time. I remember that as well. Really liked that team. They were coming in hot during that time of year as well. 7 weeks in. You do what you can do. But moving on from the past, I guess what is the present? While I pour out one, I'll let James kind of describe here what's all going on. So because here's the thing, two of these teams, we already kind of were bracing a little bit. I mean, I'll just leave with this, James.
San Antonio.
Yes, the San Antonio thing feels very left field, but like if we're talking venues. And I know I've already seen a few people try and say that's not the case. I don't know what really is out there. But we're talking about a team that had problems fielding 5 games last year in a very large stadium by Mike Ripoli's standard, or Ripol, whatever you want to call it. I always mix up his last name. But the truth is, that's what I said last time. Someone corrected me again. But truth be told, if it's by that standard, that stadium does not fit that standard as well. It's a twofold problem. It just wasn't talked about enough or a lot.
Yeah,
it seems that way.
It's one of those situations where, as you said, you got the venue issue. Excuse me, you got the venue issue with the size, and then on the other side of things, like, you'd think maybe they could find one of those big high school stadiums because Texas has a lot of them, and San Antonio definitely has some that would be available. But when it comes to there's rules with selling alcoholic beverages there. It's also the spring season. A lot of these high schools have track meets going on. They got things going on. There's a lot of variables behind the scenes. So to have that aspect of it, and then to also have, I know the UFL they were trying to get a better deal at the Alamo Dome than what they had currently, and it just didn't pan out. And it's one of those situations where at this point for Rapoli, it's about the optics, and of course it's about the money, right? And where are you going to go where you're not only going to get a good deal, but where are you going to go where you can actually be appreciated and worked with, in a proper manner. So, I mean, I don't blame the Alamo Dome for not pushing this through because on their end, it's like they don't have a lot to gain from the UFL. They already have a lot of events going on. They have things to do. I mean, they just did the Final Four. So, the UFL on their priority list is probably not very high, which is understandable. I think this was kind of a mutual parting of ways, but definitely came out of left field. I mean, we were not expecting San Antonio to be relocated, and when the news had broke originally back in July about which locations we relocating, San Antonio came right out and said, "Oh, we're staying. We're here in 2026." So to have that kind of change is disappointing, and I feel really bad for the Brahmas fans. I feel like they were robbed.
It's certainly something I would say.
Ralph Menderes saying, "I've been following this story, and the real reason they're leaving is because Project Marvel is on its way, so the Alamo Dome is going under construction." I mean, hey, maybe it played a factor. To my knowledge, that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I got good pointing out that quote or that comment because I've been looking this up. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm seeing the project stuff, but
That's crazy.
yeah, I don't know.
Alamo Dome stepbrother dress. Wow.
Yeah, it's a weird time, but I'd say the San Antonio one was interesting to me. But again, I'm just more rationalizing it or whatnot. Besides that, everything else, I don't mean to sound like a broken record. Last show I was on here, I kind of made my peace with and made my final deals with on everything else. Clearly, I've moved on, so I'm just here to represent what is the last remnants of this. Is the best way to put it.
I think, and I'd like to get everybody's opinion or whoever wants to jump in on this. Getting rid of San Antonio just to bring in Orlando, which seems to be the likely city that would come in, because we knew Columbus was happening, Louisville kind of felt like a given as well. And it always felt like Memphis and Michigan would leave if Columbus and Louisville got locked in. Now with San Antonio out, it basically opens the door for Orlando to come in. We know Boise isn't happening. They already came out and said that Boise wouldn't happen until down the road with expansion. I don't see Orlando being an upwards move. I see it at best lateral and probably downhill. I mean, especially if the league doesn't move their season up to the XFL schedule. If you're playing in Orlando, down there, they were struggling to get fans to show up in February and March down there in Orlando. They averaged less than 9,000 fans a game. If they're playing in Orlando, I mean, they only have outdoor venues that they can play in. I just don't, even if they hit all their markers on what they need to do with marketing and branding, et cetera, I don't know, man. I'm not all in on Orlando yet. I got to see it before I believe it.
Well, no, I'll pass the buck off to this point one more time because like we've talked now, and I think this has been a discussion point online now that we hear about the Orlando point. And again, if it's about venues, which it seems like a lot of it's venue, size of venue, personal experience venue, or justifying the means by what attendance we're getting at said venue. I mean, you got to think that if this push for this MLS stadium bid is the case, Orlando has to go to Inter Stadium as the option, right? It feels like that's what they want over, say, Camping World, unless they're getting a really good deal from the XFL days.
Well,
the
thing is, with Camping World is they had prepaid that lease.
Which is the other point on this, is do you go with that lease, and have a bigger stadium? This is supposed to be
all about optics. So if you're going to Orlando to save money and you're playing at Camping World, I don't understand this move. You can either go to the soccer stadium, which is better optics, but you're probably going to pay a much more premium of a price, especially considering 2 soccer teams already play there. So now it's going to be another Audi Field situation where you've got to work around those. I mean, Nick, you know this well in DC. I mean, this is what Audi Field deals with every single year with the UFL, and it's why the schedule gets pushed back, because you can't schedule games there until these soccer teams have their schedules in place.
Yeah, it always kind of gives them weird times where, there's a lot of 1 o'clock on a Sunday because they played on Friday, so we need a certain amount of days or stuff like that happens. Obviously, it pushes the whole UFL schedule back, so we can't get it until middle of January, which is going to be an issue, especially if we're moving the season back. That's something logistically that's going to be cause for concern, but. Yeah, it's just always kind of messy. Obviously, DC missed out on a playoff game for that. Didn't affect us too much because we just went to Audi West. But other than that, it is kind of just a as good as it is optics wise, it does suck logistically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I just? Well, I saw that quote come up there, and look, cool. I love that they get the $400 million upgrade. That's great. Okay. We've followed this too. We've been keeping an eye on Camping World. It's definitely been in the discussion. But are you seeing the point we're making here? If the whole part about this is the optics, the better experience, the getting the place that is more personal to fans, Camping World is not that. Please do not see $400 million upgrades as this is straight away better. You still have to address the elephant in the room of we need to bring fans back into the fold here in a larger venue, if that's where they go. You have to justify that venue space at that point to a community of fans that you have said you want to downsize venues with. So if you go to Camping World, that's not downsizing a venue. That's picking it because you chose the money, which is fair. That's a business choice. But let's not disguise that business choice for being a better option. The better option, if we're talking what the design is to go to Inter Stadium if you're in Orlando. But as James just said, you're going to be the third tenant in that stadium, which for anything that knows about tenants and their needs, if you're low on the rung, you're always going to get ignored or superseded by the primary tenants, which are the MLS and whoever is playing underneath the MLS, the soccer teams.
I think that's the NWSL. National Women's Soccer
Which that's
League,
also a bigger property. NWSL is on ESPN. It's got good deals too. So you're fighting for that. It goes beyond just saying Camping World gets upgrades.
I think the frustrating thing for me is that, this is such a crucial offseason, and the whole point of these moves is for like the future vision, right? I mean, these moves are supposed to be to make sure that not just in 2026, but beyond 2028, 2030, 2032, the league's in the right markets. I don't see Orlando being a big piece of that future vision, and I could be wrong, right? But just from what we saw in Orlando in 2023, knowing that the city has already had 2 spring league teams taken away from them in recent memory with the Alliance of American Football, where the Apollos were doing well, and then having the Orlando Guardians go away. I mean, especially, it comes back to me, and I wish that we had this clip ready to go, but it's not. I should have loaded it in. But Danny Garcia, when Orlando was coming to town, and they make the announcement there at the stadium, and she's like, guys, we are not here for just a year, we're here for years. And then they were only there for a year. That's a broken promise. And that's not necessary. I'm not putting that blame on Danny Garcia. I'm just saying, when you have ownership coming in and making claims like that, and then going back on them after 1 year, you lose trust, right? I mean, this is what happens in spring ball. This is why a location like San Antonio, even though they still had a good fan base with the Brahmas, it wasn't nearly as good as it was with the Commanders back in the AF, because these teams just keep coming and going. So these markets get burned, and I'm worried that Orlando hasn't shown much promise as is. They might be burned out. I don't know. We'll see.
Market burnout is real. That is a real thing.
Watch us talk about Orlando this much, and it doesn't even become a market because they're like, "Oh, James said it." No, can't happen.
Switches it
Screw
up.
up their negotiations again.
Yeah. they go back to San Antonio.
James,
Bucky, have you been to Orlando?
James point out the flaws.
I've been to Disney World, but
Okay. Because like Orlando seems a lot more like a touristy place rather than like a place that you go to live.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, if somebody's going to go to Orlando, they're going to go to Paramount, I think it's called, or Universal, or they're going to go to Disney World. I don't think they're going to go watch a football game. I'm going to be honest. I don't. Brandon's probably listening to me, but I don't think that's a football city. I just don't see it. I think that's a bad move. I think San Antonio was the right
Louisville,
move.
on the other hand, I think is a great move. Although, sadly, it comes at the expense of the Panthers. But I do think Louisville is a great location. It's a growing market. It's got great TV numbers. It did really good TV numbers for the UFL, even though it didn't have a team. I think it was top 3 when it comes to the actual household rating per capita. And when you add that in with the factor that Louisville only has like 2 or 3 professional teams, one of them being minor league baseball, the other one being, I think, like a women's soccer league, the NWSL. Like, established leagues, yes. But they don't, I mean, they attract 5,000-6,000 fans a game. Football is going to get a lot more than that. You go to Lynn Family Stadium, you're going to have 15,000. You can sell that out easy.
That's why I was hoping for Oklahoma. And then I was hearing, little bits and pieces, and it just never happened. And I'm like, they're doing so well with their indoor league. I couldn't imagine.
You see the Tulsa Oilers,
Yeah.
That's
doing so well.
I
almost
read
translate.
I mean, I read those attendance numbers. That's like, and I told this to someone today when we got into an arena football discussion at work. And that's like prime, like peak arena football, like zeitgeist numbers, like 12K a game. Like you don't see that anymore on a regular basis. That's very much the exception rather than the norm. But that's a good sign for a market. Good TV, interested football base, but you got to find the right place to play. I don't know. There's a lot of
Ralph, don't
things that
worry.
go with
Austin's
that.
getting a football team. It's just the Texas Syndicate of the COFL. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's getting bleed.
Can't wait.
I just saw a comment here that I wanted to bring up, but now it's escaping my mind. But I'm curious. Jake, I know we talked about dangling the carrot. Zach, I'm sure you're kind of over at this point, but your thoughts on Rapoli's statement of like, hey, I deeply sympathize with you all, and hopefully, if venue opportunities arise that meet our criteria in these markets, we'll give serious consideration to returning. To me, this just feels like coach speak. Like, could we see a market return for sure? But this kind of feels more like the Tampa Bay Bandits hiatus in the USFL, where unless everything magically falls into place, they're not coming back.
Yeah.
I think they're in the vicious cycle where they're never going to get more than 8 teams, despite Rapoli saying, "Oh yeah, we'll be expanding." Like I don't know, especially with spring football, especially with the desperate move that they're making this offseason. I don't see them being, able to come back. And I mean, the entire point, like I knew that he was going to dangle the carrot. I mean, that's the entire reason why I tweeted it out a few days ago to not dangle the carrot. Is because I knew, because with him tweeting about Alumni Fi, that that would be something that they would put out there. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath for it. Not in 2028 or anytime after that.
I do think out of all the teams that are getting the carrot dangled in front of them, like all of them, like Bandits, Maulers, all of them, New Orleans. I think with Michigan's history, and now with a possible Columbus team if they survive as well, you never know. I think Michigan is front runner for a return. In terms of,
I think I'd agree with that.
Back.
I mean, it definitely all hinges on the league's continued survival. I'm going to label it as that personally. And that they do feel like they can go back and go to that USL stadium that's being built up, which, is the right venue in terms of size and from the looks of it. But again, that we're talking, and I hate to be like this very, how it feels so farsighted, even though it's only 3 years out and less than 3 years out. But this is spring football, guys. Like I can't look 2+ years into the future and
right. We got to get through 2026, right? I mean, I know
right.
Lots
well,
of
and that's the thing.
Rapoli.
Like I can't even look at 2028 seriously because I've heard this expansion mumbo jumbo for a year and a half plus now. Like,
these moves wouldn't be made right now if it wasn't a critical do or die season for the league coming up. Even with Rapoli on board, like if we don't see significant improvements this year, how far is Rapoli willing to go with this league if if he's not seeing the results that he wants to see?
I don't know. But we're about to find out. And the dangle carrot thing, like, yeah, I mean, James said it best. I've been look, a lot of people like Mike. Guy definitely says his mind on Twitter and does it that way. That's cool. I've changed how I view my my relationship with the sport to what actually happens, what things are done in particular. And spring football is very legendary for this. You can sell anybody with words, PRs, podium stances, whatnot, and I don't give a shit. Okay, you can tweet whatever and I'm going to whatever. I'll keep saying this. I don't give a fuck what you tweet. Just do what you say is all. Because until you actually do something,
Brandon,
it's empty air. It's empty air to me. I'm sorry. I don't read Mike Rapoli's tweets like gospel and sit here and go, everything's fixed. It's all gonna be glorious. It's like, dude, I've seen this playbook for years. So I hope it works. I'll be sitting on the sidelines hoping it works. But and I've said this to many people at this point, I got other shit to do. I can watch football and focus on other stuff. Thank you. Censor did his job.
Hey, we got an important question to answer here. Brandon Harris, is drinking and driving a fair reaction to losing the team?
No, that's why you stock up first.
One or the other. You have to pick. Also, it's kind of on topic, off topic, but with the teams being relocated now, a lot of these teams don't even have head coaches, and the free agencies here. It's like I feel like a lot of these teams, like wherever San Antonio goes, wherever Memphis goes, they don't have coaches. Like,
right.
Don't get me wrong, the GMs are doing their job, but I think you should also, like, your coaches, like, those are the guys who are having those players.
So maybe I misunderstood this. So I don't mean to interrupt you, Ducky, but are these staffs not locked in? I thought they were moving with these relocations.
They are, except it's up in the air for Memphis and San Antonio because they don't have
formerly Memphis, formerly San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah, James can now stop gaslighting Panthers Nation now with the, or at least he can start saying.
Of course, today is a day that Matt Corral signs to the Michigan Panthers.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, how else am I supposed to report that? The transaction says he signed with the Michigan Panthers. Like, you can't. What am I?
That's like early 2024 off season where
Columbus
everyone's doing their job.
Louisville / Orlando ? Panthers. It's just not gonna work.
I will say, just to talk about the coaching staffs not being in place, that is a bigger deal than I think most people are like letting on.
It
Oh,
is.
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
it's like that is disastrous in my eyes.
Your head coaches should be part of that. Part of
6
picking
months.
players.
Yes. Like as someone who works like in personnel, you need to have a staff in place. Like you can't just be building a roster in the void, because you need to curtail who you're adding to, what they have in mind, what scheme they're going to run, like all that stuff like super matters when you're making calls. And so you've seen that with the teams that have, don't currently have head coaches. San Antonio's just kind of been like, we're just going to
Mark
not
Lillibridge
make.
has straight up just been like, I'm not doing a single thing until I have a head coach. So
Exactly. And
That's fair.
like what is he supposed to do? Maybe he could retain some of his guys just to prolong that.
like that's
That
what
would
Jim
be-
Manos is doing in Memphis.
And that's what
but,
he's doing. Yes.
But it's
right?
like,
That-
I mean, we already saw Jordan Williams just go sign with the Birmingham Stallions today. There's a 3-year linebacker for the San Antonio Brahmas that has decided to
Yeah.
make the jump to the Stallions, and I wonder if we see more of that. And it could have been one of those things where Lillibridge and Williams mutually decided to part ways. I'm sure the two of them have been working together for a while, but still, it's like it's unfair to Lillibridge and to these guys in this position and to whoever comes in as a head coach, because Birmingham and St. Louis, just two of them for example, they have been able to work year round with their coaches and their GMs to build this roster. And whoever Memphis has, and Memphis, Columbus, Louisville, whoever, right? Whoever the Showboats have, whoever the Brahmas have, they're going to be at a disadvantage. And another thing, too, that comes to mind is, could we see a head coach or two just decide to step away? I mean, it's happened before. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no these guys are not under contract. There is no guarantee that Bob Stoops returns, right? I mean, anything could happen. So
Right.
this is the type of stuff that
yeah.
hopefully now that relocation is pretty much in place, we can sort through. But
I think that was Memphis's big thing, because every single year they've had coaching changes and they've had
Yeah.
no consistency in their players. I think that was one of the reasons why the people didn't show up to games, because you're not going to win games when you have inconsistent coaching staffs, which makes you inconsistent on the rosters.
Among other
and
things.
that's what I was gonna say. Like with this whole like the talent acquisition at the UFL level is kind of like college recruiting in a lot of ways, where you're actually like trying to convince a cat to like join your roster, unlike the NFL where it's a lot more like, hey, there's like free agency and it's financial stuff and the draft. Like this is kind of just like, hey, there's players out there and you have to convince them to come to your team.
it's
And
like
that's
old school college recruiting before NIL came in.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and so there's a process, or like recruiting, honestly, at the FCS level, like because there's not really a ton of money at our level. So like there is a like building up of trust and developing of relationships that like require time, and you saw that with Memphis last year, where they weren't even like that late to the punch, right? Like at this point, they had their staffs basically in place, and it still cost them. They couldn't get the players
Not
that
really.
Birmingham got, or like
Yeah.
in my mind, like that roster was less good than it could have been, if they had like a full off season. They would have the draft was drafted by not Manos, it was drafted by someone else. Like obviously it was earlier in the calendar. Right now, who knows what the draft is going to be or what it's going to look like. But they lost out on months that they could have been working towards getting players that other teams beat them on the punch to, I think, in my mind. Like, and it's no fault of anyone on that staff. It was just they got there late. And imagine, the staffs that are getting to Memphis and San Antonio, assuming it's not just the same staff, for either one, how late they'll be, getting here probably, late October at the very earliest, because right now they should have had somebody going through the hiring process already. James, you can speak to this more. I'm not an insider. Like, if they haven't really broached that subject internally, it's going to take weeks to figure out who they're going to hire. Like, it's going to be November before they get a
Conversations have
coach.
been had. I just a part of the delays. It's tough to make decisions on the coaching end when you are trying to figure out and the UFL, it's like one thing at a time type of deal. You know, they have limited
And that's the thing, you
resources,
gotta,
right? With
you
with
know?
how bare bones of an operation it is. So
Hard to
that's
multitask.
frustrating.
should
I mean
have
that.
you should have the staff for that though. You should have like the football operations and then
Yeah.
the business operations.
Well, everything's
Like,
kind of
so
mixed.
they should
I mean that's just
right,
kind of
and
what
that's
it is.
and that is why this league is just not going to go anywhere.
I don't know if it's. I was gonna play this a little bit later, but while Zach is still here, I don't know if it's worth. I mean, we had some interesting Pat McAfee to I guess attention, I should say, this week. I mean, he
James
talked
is now
about the
national.
UFL. I called him out.
James
He
is now
put me on the
national.
show. Like, should I go ahead and just play the clip? Might as well.
Nah, play it. Play it.
Let's
Dude's got-
pull this bad.
dude's got it
in
whipped
case
in his
anyone missed
pocket.
it.
Roll the clip.
PFN on Pat McAfee.
UFL, and I will say we had a UXFL conversation yesterday.
Are you sure?
Well, I think UXFL, better name. We workshopped it yesterday, and I'll tell you what, the UX Football League certainly is something that I would love to get behind. We didn't know a lot about their league. No. We found out they had bloggers, though, didn't we?
We did. This was
One of the greatest tweets ever
Found
conducted.
yeah.
Hey,
one of the hardest things I've ever laughed at, maybe in the last 10 years.
James, we'd like to let you know, thank you for your contributions to the Thunderdome. We laughed so hard. And as we got to the bottom of it, we said, we didn't even know people cared this much. We appreciated you, James.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that we appreciate you, James. But yeah, this is basically our show in a nutshell. This is a 2-minute segment. This is a 2-minute segment, and we never claimed to know. We actually said it in there multiple times. Oh, what do we know about it? And then we rattled off all the things that we know. The UXFL is going to have a much better future.
Yeah.
So
I got one thing
from
to add.
that-
I got one thing to add. James called me after he saw Pat's show, and he wanted to borrow $7 off of me so he could buy Twitter Premium, just so he could write that long paragraph. And I gave it to
Oh,
him.
get out of here.
I gave it to him. I wanted to see that paragraph.
So, my main takeaway from Pat's response there, right, which was kind of circles back to the original point that I was making, was he was like, you know, we don't claim to know. Like, what do we know about the UFL? We just said what we knew. What they said was all the things they knew, which was all negative crap. I mean, it was just left and right nonstop, and like that's not me having an issue with Pat. Like that is in my opinion, is an issue with the league. They have not like positioned themselves in a place where the casual like Pat McAfee actually knows what their league is about. And instead, all they see is the negative press that gets picked up by mainstream media. And this is the cycle we've seen in spring ball the last few years. Like, it just, at some point, the narrative's got to change. But, I mean, hey, Pat, I appreciate the shout out, even though you were clowning on me. I get it.
I'm not going to lie. I do like UXFL. I do like it.
I mean, there's no...
It's
UXFL.
just
I mean,
UX.
he's not
It's
always
just
wrong.
UX League. The UX Football League.
You know what?
We're a bunch of uckers.
Fuck it, I don't care. I don't
We're just-
care, man. It's funny, this whole McAfee thing that you've had, it harkens back to, and I hate to do this because it harkens back to like 2023 when we would talk like USFL, XFL. Because I remember McAfee would go on and he would have his 2 cents on the XFL and USFL situation. People were like, that's gospel. He's paying attention. He's watching. It's like, guys, here's the reality. These people don't watch this stuff. We know this. We've known this for years. We've watched this in 22, 23, 24. They bring it up when they want to throw something in to have an extra tidbit to talk about. And while I wish it was cultural zeitgeist, I wish spring football was, these shows do not care about you or your spring football fandom. They use it as a punching bag to bring up a point and have fun. Pat McAfee knows what he's doing. Do not listen to him try to say he doesn't know. He absolutely knows what he's doing because he's talked about this before. This man doesn't have short-term memory loss. He knows exactly what he's doing. So I sound
agree to
very
an
bitter,
extent,
but
but, like,
this is I'm bitter because this is a regular pattern. Like I
Right.
laugh because this was something that some of us who did these debates on the leagues a few years ago, thought it was gospel that Pat McAfee picked a side. Pat McAfee doesn't give a damn. He looks at a thing real quick and then moves on. He's got
and
NFL
he was on
to
ESPN's
talk
side,
about.
which was XFL. So obviously he was going to pick XFL.
Right.
Like,
but even
he had
now,
Dwayne
like, it
Johnson
doesn't,
on his show. Like,
even now, it doesn't matter. That he's always had the curtain open. It's just people now are looking at the stage going, oh, I guess he never really did care after all. It's like, yeah, that was, you finally saw that? Damn, that took a while, but okay. It's hilarious.
the general point though is like,
plays into everything I've had problems with over the last several years, you know, and I just love that Pat was at one point gospel to spring football truth. He's never been that. It's hilarious that people thought that was the case.
yeah. No, I just thought in general, you know, it's kind of sad that every single panelist on that show, all they had to say, like, to them, like I said, like, they treat the league like it was a joke, which is what it's going to look like to the casual fan. I mean, that's just the sad truth.
Having a guy like AJ Hawk,
I mean,
who's a former linebacker in the NFL,
like,
be
is
like,
it still
it's a joke
happening?
league,"
Is it still
you know?
going on? Like, that's the
Yeah.
problem. Like, that's the league's, that is on the league for not being better like, it's on, this league is on ESPN. How does an ESPN worker not know if the league is going on or not? You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that should be simple, but maybe that's just me.
I don't see how they don't have like flags like, hey, don't speak badly about it. Try not to speak badly about it. You know.
Well, isn't even any bad press still good press? Like any press is good press. So
that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
At
It's just
this
the problem
point,
is
I
that
think
from mainstream, it's all bad press for the most part. So,
But why would the league or anybody expect there to be positive press when even we clown on the league and we're the ones that are supporting it and, you know, putting our
right,
time
but
and money into the
we
league?
clown the league 10% of the time.
I feel like our criticism is constructive, whereas there is more. We're going to clown to get views. Was we're doing.
I mean, there's definitely a
be
different tone
constructive
to
about
it, but
yeah.
But I guess my point is like, there's what's really positive about the league other than the play on the field, but that doesn't matter when they can't get people to show up to the games because they don't know how to market it, and then the only and two of the top four teams with attendance, they just go ahead and move them elsewhere. Like I get there's some money and capacity, you know, issues that they have there, but like that just I don't know. This feels like it's a last gasp, and I've been saying that since the whole thing came out. James mentioned, you know, the four teams moving, only three now,
Fake
but
news.
still, like the whole fact is like, obviously they're doing this because it's like a do or die at this point. And because you don't move almost half your league if there isn't like, you know, somebody screaming or like alarm clocks going off in your ear. Like this is, you know, do or die.
Oh yeah. I mean, shoot, I'll even go a step farther. You know, if we're talking partners, I mean, Fox is already posturing towards other options in that football space for next. You saw that? I don't know if you saw the Tom Brady flag football tournament coming up. You can't tell me that that's not posturing for what happens if this thing goes under and we need to start filling programming in the next year.
Well, the NFL didn't Goodell start talking about
flag
league,
football
so...
also too. I mean, you can go even farther if you want.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, these sports networks, they keep an eye and a credit. Fox owning part of it. They're not just going to have nothing to throw in. They'll be ready in case they need something. So,
especially with it becoming an Olympic sport, like a lot more eyes are going to be on flag football now.
Extra
because
bit of
just
that too. Absolutely, it adds to it.
We got a Vinny Papale playing flag football over in Italy.
Yeah.
I miss
We
Vinny.
do.
Underrated.
Gentlemen,
movie about his.
I got a dip. But
Zach, thank you for being the host for the first 45 minutes of the show. It's much appreciated.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this is our last roundtable with you or not, but it's been a pleasure. It's been fun.
It probably isn't, but I know Stefan and I have talked, and we have to do a show at some point. It's been too long, and
yeah,
I have more things to get off my chest and probably talk at full length anyway. But it's good to come back, and I'm glad to talk to you all. I'm always available to chat, even if I've stepped away from doing stuff on a regular. I know I'm saying that to people here too, and it's live, but I just want to let you guys know, okay? Because you want my number, let me know. I'll shoot it by. But otherwise, I'm hanging around. That's all I'm doing. So.
Zach, at least you got to enjoy a full 3 hours of Matt Corral as a Michigan Panther.
Goddamn right I did. Peace out, people.
See you, Zach.
Peace.
Well, that's probably the segment into the part of the show that Thorne really wants to get into, which is UFL free agency, signings. We've had a lot going on the last couple of weeks. We've seen the signings pick up, but October 1st, free agency opened, and we finally have our first couple of signings. The big one being quarterback Matt Corral signing with the Michigan Panthers, now known as the Louisville, Columbus, Orlando Panthers. We'll see where they end up.
Fighting Mike Nolans.
Maybe not Orlando. Don't quote him.
That's also true. Well, it's a question mark, right? It's a question mark for all three because we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's whatever. But I mean,
swear they're gonna add insult to injury and put the Panthers in Columbus just because it makes no sense. That's the logical move for them to make.
Right.
I
So-
honestly think they're going to do that.
Oh yeah, like I said, it just seems too perfect for them to just add insult to injury. Like it's just that's what's gonna happen.
And they don't
If the
realize whenever
UFL
they do
does that, it puts the nail in the coffin for Michigan as a marker in the future, because the few Panthers fans that you would have left, like you and guys like Mike Palco and others who would like be willing to support the Panthers again when they come back, if they came back in 2028, hypothetically speaking, if the UFL goes and places their Michigan Panthers in Columbus, Ohio, of all places, like, come on, like that cannot happen. But it wouldn't shock me if it did.
Sorry, you can go.
And the people that also follow the team, because when the Browns moved to Baltimore, there are plenty of Ravens fans in Ohio, in Northeast Ohio, because of when that happened. Like, they're still Baltimore fans because they followed the team. They love that team. They love the players. They love the coaches. They still wanted to go support them. And now if you do that, no one from Michigan is going to support anything that has to do with Columbus. Like, you're kissing that goodbye. Any support, any traveling support like that, you're just kissing it goodbye. I know they might be thinking like, oh, it's only 3 hours away. No, it's Columbus and it's Michigan. You don't mix that. You don't do that.
No,
Yeah.
no, not eastern side of the state and in Columbus. Like that's just oil and water, and that's again like the whole they're missing the rivalry that just would have been baked into bringing Columbus into the fold, and now that's gone. And then if they put the Panthers into Columbus, then I'm going to find it really, really, really hard to even root for the staff and players that I know and have talked to and like am fans of, because it's just, I can't do it. It's ingrained.
To all around, I do see positive in this. I see positive in them saving money from Ford Field. It sucks that Michigan's moving, but they're saving money in the long run.
I still think Reinierson though. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I do not have any issues with them moving out of Ford Field. That's never been my qualm. Yeah. When they said it's too expensive, I'm like, yeah, all right, then Reinierson for a year and then put them at Alumni Phi. I don't see why they just dug their heels in and not, or did EMU decide to suddenly gouge the league because, hey, this is your only chance to stay in Michigan? That could be. Like, we were not part of the table talk, like, if they even had the conversation, but still, it feels like to me that EMU would have been an option.
I mean, just based off the verbiage
was,
we saw between Mike
sound
Bell and the AD over there at EMU, he seemed willing. I mean, he even seemed willing to host them as there for a year and paint they could paint the field green, with the kind of like what the Vegas Vipers did in Vegas, paint the field and you can wash it off at some point and it's still gray underneath. Like it just seems like Michigan's a lost goal. I think we'll have more clarity on Michigan soon. I think right now, the league obviously was trying to keep things as tight-lipped as possible, but I'm sure we'll get information on that at some point on what really happened behind the scenes. But until then,
I'll feel better.
We'll.
Yeah. I'll feel better if there was at least some information coming out that they had an earnest conversation with EMU.
But was there an effort made?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Right. Or did they just go, ew, gray field, we don't want to pay for the, painting it, even though replacing the field twice, once to get it to green, once to get it back to gray, would still be cheaper than 1 year, at Ford Field. Right. So they'd be saving money even if they did that.
Right. I mean, I do get it TV-wise. that might look a little odd, and you've got a track around the field too. But still, I mean,
Yeah, but you don't ditch the only market that had growth in
Right.
2024. Like, I don't see why you don't plan for the future, unless, again, it's just that dire for the league that this has to be something that they have to make stick.
Yeah.
and that's kind of goes back to what I was talking about with San Antonio and Orlando. Like, it doesn't make sense to go to Orlando from San Antonio unless you're just trying to right this second we need to save as much money as possible, which is what it seems like.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I think Columbus will be a great market. I think Louisville will be a great market. I think in an ideal scenario, Memphis and Houston would have been relocated to Louisville and Columbus. That to me would be the golden package. You keep Michigan and Michigan, you keep San Antonio and San Antonio, and then after 2026, you see what happens from there. I'm not, I don't know. I'm sorry, Orlando. I just am not behind that move at all, especially knowing that Orlando is in this league over Michigan and San Antonio. That to me is absurd.
Yeah. But yeah, back to the Columbus thing. I think Columbus is a super, it sounds homer of me, but just, you see Ohio State people. It's the largest.
It's going to be way better than Memphis.
I want to say it's the largest American football fandom in the United States. It's, it's something there.
It's the only compliment I'll pay Columbus is that, that they are diehard, and I think that if there's of any of the new markets, that's going to be the one that sticks and has the most support.
The stadium, there's no conflict, maybe small, tiny conflict. There's no team conflict like with DC, so they're not going to have to worry about scheduling issues like that, They've got somewhere to play. I just hope the fandom translates, because a lot of people always say, they're not football fans in Columbus, they're Ohio State fans, and that might be true. We won't know until it happens. I personally, I think in Columbus and the surrounding area, which is where I'm at now, there are plenty of people, that support football.
Yeah. I feel like we've kept Thorne waiting long enough. We got to talk a little bit of free agency. And Jake, I don't know what you want to make of the Corral signing. Would have been interesting to see him as a Michigan Panther, but he is a Panther, depending on where they play. Very fascinating fit. Obviously, Matt Corral was one of the top quarterbacks, one of the top players in the free agency market here. Clearly didn't want to go back to Birmingham. He's one of those guys that just was never the clear QB1 despite having opportunities, but they were limited. Adrian Martinez beats him out last year. This year finally gets his chance, and you have...
Yeah, he didn't hear himself. Martinez.
Somebody clip that.
No, what?
Somebody clip that.
Yes, you said Martinez.
I said Martinez, bro.
No, you said Martinez.
Yep.
You guys heard me wrong, bro. Listen, I've been sick all week. My nose is clogged. It's hard to pronounce words sometimes. But anywho.
But as far as Corral, I hope...
Thorne,
I
take
hope they are
away
not the Panthers.
Corral.
They better not be the Panthers, though. You got to keep that helmet in Michigan. It's from the 80s into now. You got to rebrand completely. But since you did, and I'm gonna keep delaying Thorne as much as possible, just so he gets antsier and antsier. But no, I think it's a good thing for the Panthers. Like if they're or the Mike Nolans now with having, I think Corral is an upgrade from Etling. Downgrade from Perkins, but that's going to be like basically any quarterback that you get, except for maybe a Martinez, player. But
Good grief.
no, I think it'll be good for the offense.
Zach leaves and it all goes downhill. It's insane.
Yeah, the Corral situation was really interesting to me. Obviously, he was like the crown jewel of free agency because so many of these guys feel like they probably are just going to end up going back. You've got technically a Teamo and a Perez out there, but of the guys who realistically could switch teams, it even made it very clear on social media that he was going to switch teams. He was like the crown jewel. And so with that, it was kind of interesting that he chose Michigan over other teams which you'd assume were interested in him. Obviously, like a Memphis or a San Antonio, they're not going to make a move right now because they're waiting on coaching staffs. But St. Louis not making a play for him is kind of interesting, especially because I feel like that would be a pretty good fit stylistically. But
I know.
in Michigan's
I
case,
really wanted to see St. Louis for Corral.
yeah, and Michigan, as James said in the Discord, Perkins is not necessarily out of the picture.
Yeah, he's not.
You know, doesn't mean he's
What I was
necessarily
told,
gonna.
for clarity purposes, is that
Yeah.
Perkins, like with quarterbacks going down in the NFL, he's just kind of waiting out because there's always a chance he gets brought in as an emergency quarterback somewhere. I mean, it could definitely happen. He was with Carolina in the preseason, but he may retire. He may not. If he doesn't, he'd come back to the Michigan the Panthers. It's gonna be hard not to say the Michigan Panthers, guys, but he'll be back with the Panthers if he decides not to retire, in my opinion, and then it'll be a battle between him and Corral. But
And that's what's-
Corral's willing to compete, from what I was told. It's interesting though. I feel like if he went to St. Louis, that'd be an easy job for him to win.
Yeah, like it's not something where they signed him and then they added someone else later. Like
He wanted to be at a
Perkins-
team that could win a playoff game. He wanted a chance
mean,
to play in a
I guess.
championship,
I
and you
guess.
can't go to St. Louis and do that.
It's funny too because Corral has been like Michigan's kryptonite, as one
Yeah.
coach put it,
Yeah,
over the last couple of years. Like it's a very funny full circle moment that would be much more interesting if the Panthers were staying in Michigan.
yeah. For me, it's interesting that he's like, oh yeah, I'll absolutely compete because it's been this thing with Corral where he can't see the field the last couple years. And so for me, I would have guessed he would have just like, let's get something that's clean where I'm like the guy, and we'll go from there. So I actually can put tape out there. But you know, it's an interesting situation. If Perkins is out of the picture, that's about as good as you're gonna do as a free agent. Like, you know, I don't think you're gonna get much better than a Corral. There might be a couple guys available that are of that caliber, but not many. And with that, like if he does come back, it just is kind of a little messy situation and goes right back to those two quarterback systems and all that stuff where, you know, that's your risk with it and why you can't be like 100% gun ho on it is like, well, hey, if they start eating into each other's reps, it's the same story we had this year with Etling and Perkins eating into each other's reps, and the thing that Michigan's done multiple times in the past of just like not picking one guy and sticking with them. So it's just a situation that has a lot of interesting things. I'd love to know how interested St. Louis is, or if they were not interested at all, because they seem like the obvious landing spot. Otherwise, maybe
Like scheme
Houston.
fit, it just would be perfect. He's like,
Yeah, and they don't have anyone.
like I
right
said
now.
in the article I put out, it's like, you know, one year you had the arm of AJ McCarron in the decision making. The other year you have the legs of Manny Wilkins and Max Duggan, but you never had the guy in between. Max Duggan couldn't throw the ball. Manny Wilkins was kind of on and off. Once he had to throw the football, he could not throw the football. So, I mean, we saw that in week 3 against your defenders out there in Audie West. So,
Yeah.
having a guy like Corral, who's like the perfect mix, and he's not as good of a decision maker as AJ McCarron, in my opinion, but arm talent wise, he's right there. Like, I don't know.
I think
But
I mean, but you know
we'll see.
what? It's also easier to make decisions without tears in your eyes, and that's where McCurran,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
he needed to improve.
That and it's
Dry
also
those
St.
eyes.
Louis, so they get catered to by the league and they get stuff handed to them, and rules changed for them almost, and just they
Oh,
get
yeah,
catered
I
to
bet-
so much that
bet you'll
that
go-
probably just
that-
doesn't care. Like he's going to get his quarterback, he's going to get the next guy.
Well,
So it
they'll
just
probably
doesn't
say
matter.
like,
He's
"Hey,
gonna
look,
get dibs."
Panthers or Mike Nolan, you got Matt Corral, you got to give up Bryce Perkins. We got let our crown jewel actually win a playoff game, and
Yep.
Now
we
the-
need to stack
Like,
the
we're
roster
putting
as
the
much as
championship
possible
in
'cause
St.
the coach
Louis
ain't gonna do it.
We're putting the championship in St. Louis for the 80th time, and we need St. Louis to be there.
Perkins is a free agent, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
could technically sign anywhere.
So there is like a scenario where
There
he
is,
doesn't end up
except,
there.
I mean, I don't see him going anywhere other than like he found a home in
He wa-
Michigan.
And he
That's
won
where he would
MVP
wanna
in
be.
Michigan. Like, just kind of like I
Yeah.
don't see Teamu leaving
DC,
DC
right.
with
That would
he
be
was
crazy.
Right there.
I mean, that-
he should have been OPOY
Maybe St. Louis
or
can attract
MVP.
Tamu.
No, maybe now if
good
you
luck.
want to get real weird with it, I mean Arlington. What is that situation gonna look like with,
Right, with
Perez?
Perez.
They haven't.
I think Perez
re-signed
goes
him
back
yet.
to Arlington because, look, I love Luis Perez, Spring King, and everything, but I don't see him going to another team and being the bona fide starter.
Yes,
I know
agree.
that might be a hot take to some people, but I don't think he fits into other team schemes as well as he does in Arlington. I think Chuck Long's scheme is catered to what Perez can do, which is getting the ball out of his hand quickly. He's not mobile. You know, you look at it at a place like Houston or even DC, like he's not a fit in any of those spots.
Yeah, to me, if he's not in Arlington, he's going to another team that's just needs somebody like San Antonio or Memphis, where like they just
Orlando
need
or
someone.
Columbus, baby.
Yeah, that's gonna take a while to.
I know.
We need to know where the team is going
I know.
before I start
Like,
fixing
seriously.
it.
Call it the
Are we getting
the
that next
Columbus
week? Like,
football team.
are we getting the new? Obviously, sounds like we're getting the new locations next week. But do you know if we'll get where the teams will be shifting?
We'll see. I hope so. But knowing this league, that could take some time, especially if they don't have coaches in place. Then, because I don't know, like that could play a factor depending on where
Has
coaches
anyone-
want to be as well. So
Has anyone checked trademarks? Has anybody done that in a minute?
I did recently. There has not been much that I've noticed, but they also could be hiding stuff under other. You know, who knows? We'll
Yeah.
see.
At
But
a different country.
yeah,
Well, what they do is
Well,
they make a
like-
smaller.
so-
They make a smaller business and then absorb that business whenever they make name changes.
we've had
Yeah.
some news today out of Birmingham. They've signed a couple players. They've signed Jordan Williams, free agency. San Antonio Brahmas, rest in peace. Jordan Williams must have found out. He must have had the scoop. He was like, you know what? I'm going to a team where I know they're playing. And he went to Birmingham. Interesting fit. I see him as a rotational piece. I know he's been a starter in San Antonio. I don't see him being a bona fide starter in Birmingham. I think DeMarcus Gates is a starter. We'll see who they bring back out of Chappelle Russell and Tay Crowder if either one of them returns. Guyava I have a feeling, is probably going to leave and go somewhere else in free agency just based on what I've heard so far. Jordan Williams
Probably wherever
is
Jared
an
goes.
interesting fit. And Birmingham just signed Michael Barrett, who was in the NFL the last couple of years, been on a few practice squads. Really good season
Go
at
Blue.
Michigan. Jake, I know you're familiar with him. I mean, that's a nice pickup for the Ponies.
National champion. Yep.
Was that from the season they cheated, or
NCAA didn't seem to think so. Pretty much, didn't he say
No.
won it fair and square? Yeah. Pretty sure that's
No.
what those words that were.
there's an
said.
asterisk, giant asterisk next to that?
Thorne,
pretty
should I
sure
drop
they-
some
Not-
Birmingham
let
free
me
agency
pull
news?
up the
They investigated all
NCAA,
3 seasons, and
Let
they
me pull up
gave
the NCAA
Gi-
record
give 'em
books
a
and see if
second.
there's an
Yeah.
asterisk.
they gave
Hey,
They-
if there's
they
any
need their
Stallions
space.
fans watching, let me know if I should drop a scoop live on air. It's not huge, but it'd be fun.
no one's watching, James.
So drop it. It doesn't matter. No one will know.
We got
You can post
UFL
it
expert telling me to drop the Perkins to Stallions post. Yeah, right, buddy. That ain't happening.
Yeah. So you gonna drop it, brother?
There we go. It's dropped, or it's dropping.
Send it to
Bam. Shaquille
You're gonna make
Brown
everybody
the
go to
Stallions.
Twitter.
Troy product.
I'm still
Wait,
not
who?
liking it. Shaquille Brown. He was
Defensive tackle.
yeah, so he was with the Roughnecks for the first half of the year, got cut midway through the year, went to the CFL for a short stint. Now he's back with the Stallions. I think
And he was with
did
the
sign-
49ers. He signed with the 49ers.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say. I
played in
think
2
I think
games.
yeah, that was the weird thing. He went to the CFL, didn't make it in the CFL, and then signed in the NFL after getting cut in the CFL
Reason being,
and the UFL.
reason being that he was with the 49ers previously in 2024, so he's just like a camp body. And Jake brings up a good signing, Tyrion Davis Price, former third-round pick with the Green Bay Packers in 2022. He's bounced around a few teams. He's dealt with injuries that has kind of kept him off the field, but that's a guy that, look, this Birmingham backfield, I love Ricky Person, I love CJ Marable, but as players and what they've done for Birmingham, but the Stallions need some juice in that backfield. They need something that's going to kind of push them to the next level next season that we did not see in 2025, and I think Price is a prospect that can do that for sure. He's
Yeah,
got the tape.
absolutely. For me, like that's the kind of decision that they need to make. Last year, the way that they just left the running back room unchanged was kind of uncharacteristic for the Stallions, and something that I was a little worried about going into this offseason because they obviously they have a new GM. We don't know exactly what's going to change and what's going to stay the same with their like roster building, which has been kind of like historically very good. And the fact that they left that room alone was a little concerning, but obviously, this addition, former third round pick for the Niners. The Niners, I feel like every year, and Jake can attest to this, they draft a guy, they never work out. They have like a running back in the third round every year. They're always going to end up in the UFL. And, obviously this is one of them. But yeah, no, absolutely. They need to add probably one or two more of these kind of level guys in that backfield in my mind. But yeah,
Jake, that's
other
hilarious.
than.
Technically, he is a free agent, but I don't
Yes.
think he'll be making any other rosters. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe
He's just
Orlando.
waiting to go back to the Brahmas.
But we've had some interesting movement. Arlington finally came alive. They re-signed tight end Seth Green, who was with the Saints, and Seth Green is a guy I'm really excited about because I've always liked his upside in Arlington, and he's always been behind Sal Cannella, and Arlington runs a lot of 11 personnel. So Seth Green's on the field quite a bit when they run their run formations in 12 personnel, but Chuck Long, he likes to spread it out. He likes to run 11 personnel, likes to put Cannella out there as a wide receiver. So I would expect with Cannella being in Cleveland right now in their practice squad, I think Green could have a career year, depending on if Sal comes back. That's kind of the kicker there. But they also brought back LaRon Stokes. Not as high on that signing, to be honest with you. Like, he had a really down year in 2025 when it comes to his production and his grades overall. So we'll see how that one plays out. That's not a needle mover for me at all. But
That's a classic Arlington. We have our guy, and we're just gonna bring
it's
him
like a
back,
Bob
even.
Stoops Oklahoma Sooner.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Boomer Sooner or whatever the hashtag is. Oodna.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I'm really excited about this one from today. Battlehawks signed Aaron Cruikshank, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He is former Rutgers product, Wisconsin product. He actually was in the European League of Football this past year with Reed Sinnett, former Roughnecks quarterback, and set records. He was a Triple Crown winner, one Offensive Player of the Year. He had, I think, like 1,760 yards receiving, 20 touchdowns, set the single season receiving touchdown record in the ELF. Didn't win the championship, but Madrid was a good team, and I mean he was lighting it up every single week. Like none of the receivers were close to what he did. I think that's a great pickup by Dave Bowler, and I think like it's a cool story, right? Like this league is called a league of opportunity for a reason, and that's a guy like Aaron who bets on himself, goes overseas, and now he's back in the States with the UFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna make some dart throws like that, that's the kind of guy you should take a chance on.
Right.
Whether it's like in an arena or a ELF or a LFA or what any of these kind of like lesser leagues that are like a cut below the CFL, XFL, UFL, USFL tier. If a guy was super productive, we'll see. Usually it doesn't work out. You saw like a Madre London was like decent for the Maulers, but like wasn't, like it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
Even though he was like like in Europe, he was the greatest running back in history.
And that year one
coming
of,
here, he's just like okay,
year one of the ELF too. I mean the talent level is much better now, so I don't think London would have that type of production now in the European League of Football or whatever it's going to be called next year. But yeah, I mean, he came to Pittsburgh and was average. But also, I mean, I don't think the Maulers did him many favors having Garrett Groshek as the other guy in that backfield. But
yeah, that whole backfield was.
All right, enough Maulers hate. Move on.
But yeah, so this is the guy to bring to camp and see if
your defenders have finally made some moves.
Yes,
I mean, nothing too crazy, but Ty Scott's back.
Yeah.
Derek Roberson's back.
Jordan
Deontay
Dalman with
Anderson's
the
back. I really hope you guys get some safety help. I'm not super high on him being a starting safety. I think he's a decent rotational piece, but when it comes to, like, and we saw him do that a bit this year. He's more of a linebacker playing the safety role. I think he's kind of has more of that. Like, he's the linebacker. He should be lining up in the box. He's not
kind of that star, like kind of that pseudo safety linebacker, slot corner kind of overhang player at this point in his career. And like he's played in that position well at times, but I don't think he's like a giant needle mover. He's someone I'm not like upset that we're bringing back, but I don't think it really. It's hard to get like so excited about him. He's just a solid safety. We need to upgrade in that position. We weren't good enough
Yeah.
last year. We you know the
And
fact
so
that
much
we were able
turnover
to,
too didn't help.
yeah, I mean, yeah, injuries really killed us there, but like even without the injuries, like I think right now, fully healthy, I look at that room and I'm like, it's not good enough. We need to get better.
Yeah.
So
Jake, I
yeah,
mean, not to harp on this, but it really is sad that the Panthers aren't playing in Michigan, considering the roster that Kaiser's been putting together the last couple of months. I mean, the Panthers have been adding guys left and right. I mean, it's just been kind of nonstop in the sense of they brought back so many key pieces. They brought in a couple, like Nate Brooks is back in the secondary. He was all UFL in 2024. They signed Julian Pearl, one of their offensive line draft picks from the college draft last year. He's there. Isaac Ukwu, the former Detroit Lions edge rusher. Like, there's a lot of talent. Keyshawn Banks is in there as well. Breland Speaks came back. There's a lot of names there, and it's going to be really weird to see a bunch of those guys in different uniforms.
Yeah, and that's really one of the big things. Even if the Panthers do end up returning, like losing some of the guys, and granted, maybe they'll, by the time like there won't be anybody recognizable left, but even in 2 years, there still will be a core of the players that I've been seeing. So that's gonna hurt, but yeah, kind of like how I felt last year with the moves that they were making. Keeping your core, and then just improves incrementally from what you need. I mean, they already managed to get over that hump of beating the Ponies, especially in the only game that really mattered against them in the USFL championships. But and then of course, obviously, they need to take that next step to actually win the championship and not get embarrassed. But I had faith that they would be able to do that, and yeah, and now it'll be sad to kind of not get to see that. Certainly not live, but we'll see. I got one of three options: either I go back to DC, or ditch, entirely, or follow them as long as they don't go to Columbus.
I think you should do what I just did in 2023 and just strictly be a hater of one team, like how I just started hating on the Battlehawks. Don't support anybody unless they're playing them.
But here's the thing: people are going to think that I'm copying you, imitating you, because the Battlehawks is the only team that I have that hatred for, and I've been hating them since 2020.
Well, just hate the
long
Columbus
before you
team.
came across. Oh, yeah, I do think they'd probably take over the number one spot just by being Ohio. Yeah,
just make your tag like Hater Shadow or something.
But again, if it's the Panther staff and roster, like, it's gonna even out enough that I'm like, I'll hate them and I can't, or not won't be able to cheer for them, but I don't know if I'll be able to be a hater to turn on my guys like that. But yeah, otherwise, if they keep the Panthers out of Columbus, then yeah, maybe we'll go that route.
Yeah.
Showboats have made some moves, depending on where they're going to be. But for the Showboats, it's just been primarily re-signing guys that Jim Manos wants to bring back with whoever the head coach is going to be there. I mean, they've got some talent. I mean, Thorne, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this or not, but I really feel like the Showboats had a better roster than what the record reflected. I think they had more than enough talent to be at least a 500 team. The problem is the quarterback situation was nonstop turnover, and having Jim Turner take over, Ken Wisenhunt come back in, Jim Turner take over again, and then you're on that quarterback carousel where you find Dresser win, and was he perfect? No. But then you give Troy, EJ a game, and then give Dresser a game. It's just like, I don't know. Defensively, I think there's a lot of talent there. Very deep at corner. They've re-signed Eli Walker. They've brought back Lance Boykin. Offensively, Dawood Davis is back. Jalen Jackson is back in the backfield. Kyle Loxley re-signed at wide receiver. Like, there's some legitimate talent there. And up front, they had a decent O-line, too. I guess we'll see who all comes back on that end. But I like the moves the Showboats are making, but I don't think they need to blow up the roster, per se. But
certainly
you need a
it's
head
not.
coach.
Yes, that's important.
Jared Horn.
Absolutely. The concern I have with Memphis, certainly it's much better than it was last year. Like, their roster at this point in October 3rd is way better than it was October 3rd, 2024. But to say that like I still think they're a good step away. Like they're like maybe even two steps away, where that roster, it has some good pieces, but that's the tough thing with that like quick turnaround is the like it's not all gonna work. Like the team I think lacks depth in a lot of places where they had like they were okay, we got a new roster, we got 4 new defensive tackles, and it's like okay, the top 3 are pretty good, but that last guy isn't great, and just that's the luck of the draw. So I think that roster needs like depth is a concern. They got to have a few more like true like difference makers, and obviously
They
the
need a
quarterback
couple
position.
playmakers to like
Yeah.
elevate this team, and
I
specifically,
say
in my
difference
opinion, a
makers because
quarterback,
it's
but
not just like I'm not just saying like they need a wide receiver. It's like okay, maybe it's a linebacker that like something that's gonna really like put them over the top of just like going from like you know team that can compete to team that's going to win. Um, but yeah, like obviously the quarterback position's the biggest thing. If you don't get that right, you're not going to win games, and that's why they didn't win games was because the quarterback position. Obviously there was people like Dresser Wynn. I think in general the whole room wasn't good enough even with Wynn. He gave him a spark for a little bit, but there was no salvation there. There was no answer in that room. It was okay. The room wasn't good enough. Let's start over and see what it
time
looks
for
like in
Jason
20.
Bean.
Yeah, well, the issue
Yeah.
is that
We're about to get a whole thorn scale.
they don't have a head coach to like start
Right.
that process.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
and that's the issue they ran into last year. Like they got guys that were the afterthoughts to be their quarterback room. It was EJ Perry who was cut. Troy Williams was there from the year before.
Well,
Dresser
EJ
Wynn
Perry
was a
wasn't
late
cut.
addition.
It was like that was like a
Request a
mutual
release.
thing, but still,
But like, he was somebody that was available very late in the process.
he was expendable for Michigan.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't
exactly.
fight to keep him.
And so and with that, like they got all these guys like super late in the process, and they weren't good enough. And so, well, okay, what's the situation you're in right now? We still don't have a head coach. You can't get a guy earlier in the process, and so now they're gonna get another guy late in the process, and they're probably not gonna be good enough. Maybe they get lucky and they're they find somebody late in the process in like February or whatever, but that usually isn't the case.
Right.
So
Well, I mean,
it's
hey,
the tough
Jim
position to
Manos
be in,
we
whoever
trust.
that head coach is.
I have faith that Manos will
Yeah.
keep this team on track while they're in this waiting period, which he has. I mean, I've been a
Yes.
pretty big fan of the majority of the re-signings that we've seen, and I also think it's cool he signed a couple of arena guys. Like Dwayne Brown is an absolute stud. I wish Zach was still here because he'd have more to say about these guys, but Dwayne Brown is a stud. They brought in Isaiah Scott at wide receiver. There's a couple guys in there. I mean, Sam Castronova, we'll see if his quarterback play translates to outdoors. I mean, he was phenomenal in the arena scene, but there's no guarantee that the arena guys are going to come out here and perform. But I think the nice thing about those signings is you don't have to worry about a new head coach. Like, you bring in an arena guy, like he's got a landing spot in arena football regardless of what happens. So if a new head coach comes in, it's like, you know what, I don't want these arena guys. At least they still have somewhere to go. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit different. So I like
Yeah.
those moves.
It's interesting that they went heavy in just the Firebirds. They just like, hey, we're gonna sign like 4 guys off of the same roster, which is kind of you don't see that ever.
Could have
I
had
think
Cordell Jackson.
not they couldn't have. He wasn't available.
CFL, yeah.
Yeah, but the the game, it's tough to say that any of the tape from Arena translates. They were successful. They obviously they had a lot of success there, but like I think it'll be interesting to see. It's something where like I don't hate it in a vacuum. Like yeah, it's the same conversation we had with the wide receiver St. Louis sign, where it's like yeah, take a flyer on a guy who did well at a in an arena league or one of these leagues, but it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of it. Like it'd be a great story if one of these guys pops and okay, you found this diamond in the rough, but it's tough to like project like oh they're definitely gonna get Sam's gonna start at quarterback or Dwayne Brown's gonna be a relevant wide receiver for him. It's kind of tough to see, but I fully agree that like right now Manos is doing what he should do, which is just keeping the ship afloat, and then we'll see kind of similar to Polian last year, where he just like made sure that the thing didn't fall apart, and then we'll see where things lay, and hopefully he continues to be their GM this year because I think getting rid of him at this point in the cycle would just,
It would be
handicap a
ridiculous.
team
he's great at
in a
what he
new
does.
market.
Like you're not going to bring in somebody better right now. Like
you're going to handicap a team as they go into a market trying to find talent where, at least Manos is, I'm sure, doing the due diligence of at least like trying to get ahead as much as he can and trying to be prepared without, obviously like signing guys that, his coaching staff comes in and is like, oh, I don't like that guy, let's cut him,
Yeah.
Which has happened.
I agree. Well, that was some great showboats talk, and we'll see where they end up. And some fun hey, guys, free agency just started, so definitely will be more moves on the way. Keep an eye out. I've got plenty of transactions to come over the next week or so we will see what all goes down. But it's been a good show. Kind of sad. 3 teams going away. I'm going to miss the Showboats branding. I'm going to miss the Panthers branding. I am even going to miss the Brahmas branding, believe it or not. But, any final words from anybody before we wrap things up here on Around the UFL?
Who are you guys getting to do the graphics next year?
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Well, actually, Logan Garcia. No, but
I wish Ref was on. He would start dying laughing at that one.
I think the Aviators is
too busy writing a book.
I'm leaning towards.
He got a job.
Hell yeah.
Just because I think
we gotta get a different person. I don't know. Not on the market right now.
I guess so.
I would like to see the stands filled with a bunch of people with the old style aviator caps. Just going to town like that. But we'll see. I don't know.
Alrighty, fellas. Well, you guys know what the drill is. Appreciate you tuning into Around the UFL. It was great to have Zach on board. I still don't know. Ref, his team is still here. I don't know why he disappeared. The team's back. This should have been Ref's resurrection. Houston's coming back. I don't know what's going on with him, but he did not skip date night with his wife, as Abdul said earlier on. He's out there. But, Ducky, what are you going to say?
Oh, I was going to shout out Zach. He does stream on Twitch, guys. So if you want to watch him, he plays a lot of football games. It's twitch.tv/PainTrain79. If you want to follow him on there.
Alrighty. Well, until next time, everybody, this was Around the UFL. James Larson here with Pro Football Newsroom. Excited for the 2026 season. We will